I'm attempting to complete every single GameCube game, and I'm using a random number generator to pick the next game. Last episode, we beat the snot out of football players in NFL Blitz 2002, and in this episode, we're on a quest to become the king of the pirates in One Piece Pirate Carnival. One Piece Pirate Carnival was released on November 23rd, 2005, and was developed by Hand and published by Bandai Namco. This game feels so much like Mario Party, but in a good way. Before we get started, make sure to like this video because it helps out the channel, and subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any of the future games. Without further ado, this is my experience with One Piece Pirate Carnival. In One Piece Pirate Carnival, we're going to play the board game mode and finish in first place to consider this one complete. But before we do, I want to mention that this game opens with scenes from the One Piece anime. It's interesting because I think this is the 4Kids version of the anime, so things are a bit different. Also, if you haven't watched the One Piece anime, I'd probably recommend it. It's a good one. The weirdest thing about this game is that the voice actors are different from the current dubs of the show, and they sound horrible. Just listen to Sanji's voice. It might be the worst thing I've ever heard from this character in my whole life.
There are 4 types of panels. You won't know the type till you choose. First are normal panels.
I think I would rather not have voice acting than ever listen to this again. Anyways, this section is teaching us how to play the game, but I'm going to do that so we don't have to listen to everything they say. Thank God. If you don't know what One Piece Pirate Carnival is, it's similar to Mario Party games in the way that at the end of each turn, you play mini games, and whoever wins gets money and the space on the board. The character with the most money at the end of the game is the winner. It's the same idea as stars and coins in Mario Party. So let's explain the board really fast. Each character starts with the corners of the board, and on the player's turn, they can pick an open spot on the board to try and claim it. Once the choice is made, a character will show up, and some of them are normal characters from the show that allow you to play a minigame for the spot. Some are captains, and they let you play special minigames, and if you win, you unlock their second piece on the board, and anything in between them can be changed to your color. This is how you dominate the board. We can also find event characters that just give you the spot and money, and some of them will let you steal a spot on the board as well. You play until the board is complete, and whoever has the most money wins the game. Pretty simple overall. At least I think so. I think I covered all the bases of this game. So let's move on to the character we're going to use and who we're going to play against. Since it's One Piece, I decided to pick the main character Luffy to play as in this playthrough. I decided to play against Sanji, Robin, and Chopper, all on the default difficulty of normal. We can random select who we use and play against too, but I wanted to pick, so just leave me alone. We chose the only board we had available to us at the time, which was East Blue 1. It's a small board, only 5x5. The game starts off with the middle square being picked, and we have to battle to see who gets the first space of the game. We get the character Butchie, and we get to play our very first minigame called the Great Smoke Escape, which has us collect 3 keys and escape out of the door. We have to do this by avoiding the character Smoker that will cause us to drop keys, and the other characters can attack us too, causing us to drop keys. There's like little boards inside of this house thing that like flip back and forth, so you can kind of make it hard for people to get to you. We have 60 seconds to do this and only have 3 hearts before we're completely out. It takes place in like a house or a mansion. I'm not really sure. This is a fairly simple game and none of us can actually achieve the goal set out for us. And we end up finishing this game in a draw, meaning that no one gets the spot in the middle. How disappointing to start off the game this way. I get to go first and pick any square on the board. I get Karn, or Carne, and get to select between 3 minigames to try and get the space. I chose Balloon Dive Chicken Race because it sounded interesting. This game has us falling from the sky, and we can inflate this octopus thing to slow our speed for an unlimited amount of time. I didn't understand this game, and I basically just free fell from the beginning, causing me to come in last place, when I should have been trying to be the last one in the sky at the end. Oh well, I guess. Chopper won this game and was able to get the space that I chose. This is the game, so I'm going to go through all the games we played and anything unique that takes place on the board now. Sanji got to pick the next space, and we get the minigame called Where is Panda Man? This game was pretty fun. Basically, we look through a telescope and have limited view of the area, and we have to find the real Panda Man in a crowd of cardboard cutouts. This was a bit challenging, but I thought the idea was cool. Once you find the real Panda Man, you have to hit the A button to call it out. Since I have a keen eye for details, I was able to find the real Panda Man and win the spot on the board and my very first minigame. This game was starting to grow on me because of the thought put into every single one of the minigames. Robin got to pick the next space, and we got the next minigame called Sunken Treasure Salvage, which is another interesting game. We're all submerged in a sunken ship, and we have to walk around and find treasure without getting hit by the fish man in the area. We can only take 3 hits, and whoever has the most berries at the end of the timer is the winner. I was destroying the other characters in this game, and I was able to come out on top without much competition. How does that feel? I really am the king of the pirates. Did I mention we're in scuba barrels while playing this game? Pretty odd, but interesting, I guess. On Chopper's turn, we get our first event card with Galamon, and all this does is give him the spot on the board and adds 5 million berries to his score. Yes, the currency in One Piece is called berries. My next turn gives us our first captain event with Captain Kuro. We get some pretty good dialogue from Luffy and Kuro before he agrees to help us out in the next minigame. These events have you play as the character you get. And then it gives you a minigame where you have to take down the other characters in a certain arena. This one takes place in the backyard of a mansion. If we can do this without taking 3 hits, we win the event and get the captain space on the board. This one is cool because we have to complete circles around of our opponents to damage them, and Kuro moves so fast it's pretty unfair. When we get the captain space on the board, it unlocks its twin on the board, and we get the areas in between the 2 captain spaces, and they'll flip over to our color. This really helps us out because it gave me a total of 2 more spaces and added another 10 million berries to my score. This allowed me to take a huge lead in the game. On Sanji's next turn, he gets the captain event for Craig, and we play the minigame called Beware the MH5. This game is actually really cool, even though I end up doing really bad on it. We have to jump from broken pieces of the ship and get to where Craig is on the other side of the ship. While this is going on, he's trying to throw gas at us, and the only way for us to stay alive is to collect gas masks along the way, so you don't run out of oxygen. Who would have thunk it? I wish I understood this better when I was playing it, because I think I could have won this one. But since I didn't, Chopper is able to come out on top and win the captain spots on the board. After finishing the game, we're greeted by a halftime chance. This ended up being a 2v2 minigame, which I didn't even know was in this game, but it's pretty cool. This minigame is called Rumble Basketball. In this game, we have to stun our opponents by punching them, which takes 2 hits, and when they're stunned, we can pick them up and throw them up at the basketball hoop to attempt to make a basket. If you make it in, you get a point, and that's pretty much it. The team with the most points at the end of the timer is the winner of the event. I was partnered with Robin in this, and we didn't do well. Shooting the character into the hoop is actually very difficult to line it up right, so I was struggling and Robin didn't really do anything at all. I blame her for all this pain and suffering I had to endure. We end up losing this game with the score of 1-3, and I was the only one on my team to make a basket. We then find ourselves in another captain minigame with Buggy, the weird clown dude that can detach his limbs. What a strange power to have. In this minigame, Robin was the one Buggy was working for, so we had to try to win this one. Buggy will try to attack us, and we all have 3 hearts apiece. You do damage by jumping on his head, so it's not a very hard minigame, but you have to avoid being hit. So I basically just jumped around the whole time to avoid the attacks. I was able to land the final hit on him and win the minigame for myself, forcing the clown to work for me. That's right, Buggy, you're part of my pirate crew now. Chopper then uncovers another event card on his next turn called the Davy Back Fight. This basically allows for him to convert a straight line from that space to his closest captain space on the board, and he unlocks everything in between. This worked in Chopper's favor a lot, and he was able to convert a large area on the board for himself. This actually causes us to drop down into second place. There's a second part to Davy Back Fight, which includes a minigame that the winner gets to claim the spot on the board of a character that is challenged. Of course, Chopper chose me, and we had to play a minigame, so let's move to the next minigame called Gum Gum Carnival. In this game, we have to play as Luffy and try to attack each character. I don't fully understand this minigame, besides that you have to pick which buttons you want to press at the right time. Almost like a Guitar Hero or something, and then the characters we're trying to attack have to either time it correctly or guess which button we picked. I'm not sure exactly. I sort of just ended up playing this one and ended up winning. So if you know how this minigame works better than me, let me know down in the comments, because I'd really like to know what I was supposed to do during this. Since we won, Chopper wasn't able to take our space, and we move on to our next turn. On our next turn, we get an event space with Trace, even though the character's name is actually Ace in the manga and anime. I'm not sure why they changed this here. That seems kind of like an odd choice. But I guess that's neither here or there, but still interesting. Ace allows for us to pick a space around him on the board and just take it over. No minigame or anything, we just get it. So using my massive brain, I chose the captain next to me so I could get 2 spaces at once instead of just 1. Look how smart I am. On Sanji's next turn, he gets the event card for Shanks. Shanks is an amazing character from the show and is super strong in this game. This card allows for him to pick any captain on the board and take claim of it. You can just pick any captain anywhere on the board and it's yours. So this is a very overpowered card for sure. Of course, Sanji chose one of mine because the CPUs want nothing but suffering for me, and he takes Buggy in 2 spots. Robin finds another captain event for Arlong, and we have to play a minigame called Arlong Darts Park. This game is super fun. We have 3 rounds, and in each round we have 3 darts to throw anywhere on the board to try and get points, like in real darts. Arlong goes last, and he can throw his darts anywhere on the board too. Anything inside his 3 darts fall off the board, and you don't get points for them at the end of the turn. He can also just knock them off by throwing his darts directly at him. It adds a level of strategy because you don't want to just put all your darts in the same space, because he could just knock them all off and you could get no points for the round. Arlong wasn't wise in the spots that he chose on the board and never knocked off any of my darts, and I was able to win the game. I had a score of 41 and Arlong only had 36 points at the end of the game. Did I mention that he also gets to score points, and if he won the game, then Robin would have got the space on the board. This win gives us a good amount of change on the board, and we get one of our captains back to take the lead back from the other characters. The next minigame is called Battle of the Long Stilts. This game is pretty simple too. We walk around with our stilts in a circle and try to knock over our opponents. We can fall over ourselves too if we move too quickly, so we have to be careful. The objective of the game is to have the most points at the end. You get points for knocking over the opponents, and we lose points by falling over. Like I said, it's very simple. I won this minigame with 6 points, but I felt like I was just lucky. We go right into the next minigame called Supersonic Ledge Race. This one is another simple game because you just have to tap the button really quickly to charge up your bird, and it just starts running up the side of the mountain. It's literally straight up. Then you have to stop and recharge while hanging, and the first bird to the top is the winner. The only thing you have to worry about that is if you use all the charge, the bird will fall back down and you'll more than likely lose. I lost in this minigame because I thought charging fully would be the best every time, but it actually takes too long and we fell behind in the race and I wasn't able to catch up. So Robin is able to win her first minigame of the playthrough. Congrats, Robin. We played another round of Long Stilts and another round of Supersonic Charge, which I won both of, before we filled up the board. Once the board is completely filled, we get this random event called Captain Revolt, which has one of the captains revolt against its player, and we all have to play the minigame again, but this time none of us are controlling the captain. The winner of the game gets the 2 spots on the board, so if you were barely losing in this game, it could be really helpful to push you right over into the lead. It's Buggy again, so we have to play the game where we have to jump on his head 3 times to win. I got lucky this time around because it was much more difficult, and I won this minigame for the 2nd time in this playthrough. Luffy has this dude's number. The game is finally over, and this is what the board looked like at the end. I think I have this one in the bag. Most of them are red, and even though Chopper gave us the most issues throughout the playthrough, he didn't have a single space on the board at the end of the game. On to the finishing screen of the game. Just like in Mario Party at the end of the game, there are special awards that are handed out to each player, which will give them extra berries when they win them. The first one is the Treasure King, and I won that one for another 5 million berries. The next one is the Panel King, which is the person with the most panels on the board at the end of the game. This was won by yours truly. and this one was worth 10 million berries. The next one is the Captain Panel King, which is the person with the most captain panels on the board. I won this one as well for another 10 million berries. The next award goes to Sanji for Event Panel King, which is the person who flips the most event panels during the game, and he's able to add another 10 million berries to his total. Next is the Panel Flip King, which is the person that flipped the most panels during the game, which I think ends up being the person who finds the most captains because it's 2 flips per captain. But I was able to win this one as well for another 10 million berries. Next was the Minigame Winner King, which is the person that wins the most minigames in the game. And I won this one as well and got a nice 15 million berries. The last one is Minigame Loser King, which is the opposite, and it's the person that lost the most minigames, which was a tie between Sanji and Robin, who each got 20 million berries for this one. Once all the awards are given out, we find out who placed in what position. In 4th place was Chopper. In 3rd place was Robin, which I wasn't too sure if she was going to be 3rd or 2nd, but she ended up being in 3rd. 2nd place was secured by Sanji, and without much doubt, I was the winner of the game because I am the king of the pirates. I ended up winning with a total of 211.7 million berries, which was so far ahead of everyone, it wasn't even funny. Sanji had 76.6 million, Robin had 52.1 million, and Chopper only had the starting amount of 40 million berries. Then the credits roll, and we have finished One Piece Pirate Carnival. Would I recommend this game? I think I would. Besides the really bad voice acting, the game is actually pretty fun, and it reminds me of Mario Party in so many ways. The game gives you new boards to play on as well, some being bigger than the one we played on, so I think with a group of friends, this one could be a good time. Or it could just end friendships. So check this one out if you like One Piece or want something like Mario Party. If you want to know what's next, stick around, but if not, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe, like, and share this video, and we'll see you in the next one. We have 540 left. We have our list open. And on the count of 3, we are going to find out what we're playing next. So 3, 2, 1. 313. 313 is Sonic Mega Collection. Which has a bunch of small games in it. So I don't know how that will work.